So let's be honest, like life doesn't always go the way we hope it would go.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know many people who can say, yeah, this is exactly how I thought my life was going to go, with no curveballs along the way. And what happens is the pain of life can create an uncertainty in us. It can create unfulfillment because we feel like, is this my new normal?
Yeah.
Is this what life is going to be like for me now? What am I supposed to do? And that pain can leave us feeling hopeless, and it can leave us feeling crushed in spirit. And I think that's because, I mean, obviously it's devastating to our souls and it hurts and trauma is painful, but also our culture and society teaches us what a cookie cutter life should look like. This is your cookie cutter life of success, and here's what it should look like. And it looks something like this. You know, you go to school from the time you're young, you go to elementary, then junior high or middle school, and then high school, and then you graduate, right? Hopefully with honors or at the top of your class, you maybe get a scholarship. But at 18 years old, then you're supposed to know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Please make that decision now.
Know that, and then go spend a lot of money getting an education on what you think you want to do for the rest of your life. So then you graduate college in 4 years. You get that high-paying job.
Zero debt.
Right out of school, get that high-paying job. And then it's got to have a good 401k, good health insurance plan. Then you find that significant other, you get married, you buy a home in the suburbs.
It has a white picket fence.
The white picket fence and a good school district. And then you begin to have babies and you raise these children up, and you're such a good parent that they grow up and they are successful in life and they don't make mistakes and they just marry great people. You marry them off and they go through the same exact process you went through. Then you become a grandparent, you retire, and you have enough money to fund your grandkids' school, and you have enough money to see the world.
Travel. Right.
This is the cookie cutter life.
This is the way life is supposed to go.
And see, these are the benchmarks for which we measure success. We judge ourselves for this success, and these are the benchmarks we judge other people for. But here's the question. What happens when one of these things gets thrown off? What happens when life doesn't go the way you think it should go? What happens when you don't meet a significant other, when all your friends are getting married and you feel like the odd one out? What happens when you can't have kids? Or if your kid has a ailment when he's born, or a disability, what happens then? What happens when your dream of having a great marriage turns into a nightmare and you go through a painful and heart-wrenching divorce, something that you never thought would happen to you? What happens then? What happens when the love of your life is taken from you way too soon and you're left feeling all alone? What happens when you lose a parent or a sibling or, God forbid, a child at a young age? What happens then? How do you cope with that? What happens when your kids grow up and they don't make all the right choices? What happens when they don't know what they want to be at 18 years old? Or they go $100,000 into student loan debt only to start a career 3 months into it that they hate and don't want to do anymore.
That's so real.
What happens when you find yourself at 40 or 50 years old feeling absolutely stuck in a career you don't like, and you feel like you did all the right things and you got no money in the bank, no career that you like, and no fulfillment in life? What happens then? That's the thing. None of us have a cookie cutter life. None of those things go the perfect way we thought they should go.
Yeah, you know, one of our Our biggest pet peeves is, you guys know, Chris and I love home design, right? We talk about it here a little bit. One of our biggest pet peeves is when we drive into a subdivision and every house looks the same, like it could have just been plopped down on a conveyor belt, okay? And caveat, if you live in one of these homes and you love it, you do you. That's great. I'm so happy for you. If you build these homes, God bless you. That's great. Keep going.
We lived in one for a long time.
We did, absolutely. But that's just not our thing. You know, we love going into a neighborhood and there's just been the permission to be creative. You know, have a home tell a story, tell a nuance, be creative with design and color, and it really reflects the people that crafted it and the people that live there. We love the beauty and the creativity that can be in our stories. And that's exactly what God does with us. None of us have a cookie cutter life.
Right.
None of us have the life we would have expected to have when we were 5 years old, dreaming of our life one day. That's just not the reality of it, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing forever, right? Because we serve a God who is the great DIYer, okay? He loves and is an expert in creating beauty from ashes. He can create something out of nothing and something just so life-giving out of what we look at and say, God, what could you do with this?
Right.
What in the world could you do with this? And you know, when life does not go according to plan, we either can just shut down, and we've seen that. And friend, if you're there today, we get it, but there's hope,
Yes.
right? Because we either shut down or we have an opportunity to create a new blueprint if we so choose. And that new plan, it truly can, even though if it doesn't feel like it right now, that new plan can lead you to beautiful places of redemption. It really can.
Absolutely. And it's happened time after time after time. In fact, in the Bible, there's a group of people called the Israelites, and God made a covenant with these people. And I want to read you this promise that he made in the book of Genesis to a guy by the name of Abram. Listen to this. It says this: "At this, Abram fell face down on the ground, and God said to him, 'This is my covenant with you. I will make you the father of a multitude of nations. What's more, I'm changing your name. It will no longer be Abram. Instead, you will be called Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and kings will be among them. I will confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you from generation to generation. This is the everlasting covenant. I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. And I will give the entire land of Canaan, where you now live as a foreigner, to you and your descendants. It will be their possession forever, and I will be their God.'" This is an incredible promise. By the creator of the world comes to a guy and gives him this promise. You're going to be the father of many nations. I'm going to be with you. And in your line, there's going to be royalty and kings and wealth. And I'm going to use your family line to build this whole kingdom. What a great legacy promise given to this man. And the plan's going good. Abraham has a son named Isaac. Isaac has a son named Jacob. Jacob has 12 sons.
A lot of them.
That become these 12 tribes of Israel. And the plan is starting to work. They're starting to become numerous and multiply. And here everyone's thinking, oh my gosh, this prophecy, this plan, this promise, it's unfolding before our eyes. When all of a sudden, the Egyptians saw that they were getting numerous and they enslaved them. They got scared and they took on the whole Israelite people and made them their slaves in Israel. Not for a year or two, but for 430 years, the Egyptians enslaved the Israelites.
Talk about losing hope. I mean,
can you imagine?
30 years, you're like, okay, any day now, God. Like, how many generations do we have to circle through?
That's 20. That's 20 generations. 20 generations. Can you imagine? You're just at work as a slave, and you're like, hey, this doesn't seem like the promise God had for us. Right? Like, didn't he say from generation to generation he was going to be our God, and we were going to have our own nation? Did Abraham hear him wrong? I mean, is God even real?
Right.
How could a loving God allow us to go through this pain and suffering like this?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one day, God sends a guy by the name of Moses to rescue these people. And he sends them, and through the work of God and Moses, he gets Pharaoh to let the Israelite people go. The Israelites get free from the bondage that they were in for 430 years. Yeah. And on their way to the promised land, you thought, okay, this is it.
We're finally here.
I gotta think these people were thinking, we are living a prophecy fulfilled. We're living in such a cool time, but not so fast. It took them 40 years to get to the promised land. They had to live in the desert, in the dry heat for 40 years. Why? A lot of people think God was punishing them because they didn't have enough faith to enter the promised land. And there was some truth to that. Sure. These people did doubt God, but I believe the reason God kept the Israelites in the desert for 40 years was because they had to rethink things. See, God doesn't just save them from slavery and bondage. But he loves them enough not to keep them with this small-minded thinking.
Wow.
They were so small in their thinking. They had a poverty mindset, and what they were trying, God had to teach them. If you're going to be a powerhouse nation, I got to teach you to change your thinking, to know who you are, that you're not a slave, that you're a son, that you're a daughter, and that you're going to be royalty. And he had to change their mindset, transform their hearts. He gave them some laws. The 10 Commandments were birthed there. Hey, if you're going to live in a peaceful society, this is how it works. This is how it goes. And then finally, after 40 years, God uses a man named Joshua to lead his people into the promised land. He turned all of their past pain into purpose. Everything they learned in slavery and in the desert, they could now put into practice as a nation. Leaders were leading, warriors who were battling, entrepreneurs were building business, builders were building, spiritual leaders were mentoring, and their nation began to grow, and they did become that powerhouse nation that the whole world knew and recognized as a powerhouse nation. See, God turned their pain into purpose, and he loves to do that. He loves to do that for us. Don't look down, but that's what Jesus did for us on the cross. He saved us. He rescued us. But he loved us enough not to leave us there. Then he's like, I'm going to help transform your old life into a new life, a new way of thinking, a new way of acting, a new way of behaving. And then I'm going to use your past pain, your past story to make a difference in someone else's life.
Absolutely.
See, that's why we go through hard things. God doesn't cause that, but we go through it because then we can help someone else going through something hard in the future. I mean, isn't that the whole point? It's like when you go through something hard, don't you want to get advice from someone who's walked through those same things? And I like to say you become an expert on what you go through. If you've gone through a divorce and you've come out on the other side and have found joy and peace and happiness, you're an expert on how to get through divorce.
You absolutely are.
If you've lost a loved one But you're able to move forward and not move on, because that would mean the loss didn't happen.
Right.
But you figured out how to find peace and joy and happiness in life. You're an expert, and you can help someone else.
Yeah.
I have a great example of this. I was scrolling through a Facebook feed several months back, and I came across a friend who had gone through a painful divorce. She's our age, she's in her 40s, early 40s, and she just never thought this would happen to her.
Right.
And so she reached out on Facebook and said, hey, I'm just having a hard day.
Just honest, right? Just, I need some encouragement.
I need some encouragement. And I thought about this, should I reach out and give some encouragement? No, it would probably mean something to her. But I started scrolling down the feed, and I noticed that another friend of mine, the same thing happened to her around the same age. She went through a painful divorce, never thought she would find herself in that. But she came through it and is now happily remarried and finding joy and fulfillment in life. And she was able to encourage this other woman.
Yeah.
And she chimed in, and she had wisdom that was blowing my mind. I mean, she knew it was empathetic, it was heartfelt, it was everything this girl needed in that moment. And she responded, thank you for reaching out to me, to this friend. She said, thank you. I was hoping you would reach out to me because I know you know what it's like. See, when we go through something hard, it's good to get encouragement, but when someone has gone through it and has come through it, and they're having life and joy and peace, that's who you want to hear from in those situations. So God takes our pain, just like he did with Holly, then the story Megan said at the beginning. He takes our pain and he turns it into purpose if we let him.
Absolutely.
If we allow him to do that.
And so, our question for you today is, what are you an expert in? What kind of curveball has life thrown you that you've now become an expert in? When we walked through infertility, of course, every time somebody encouraged us, it meant so much. But the people that we were really wanting to hear from were the other people that had been in our shoes, that were farther ahead of us on the journey and still enjoying their life. Still living a life, still had a strong marriage, still had joy. And I remember, like sponges, we would just kind of try to get around these people. Like, can you take us out to lunch, or can we hang out with you? Because we just knew, we're like, what have you done? Because you know the specific valley of the shadow that I'm in right now, and I need to know how to keep moving forward in it. And everyone else's encouragement, truly, it means the world. But when someone has walked the path before you, they are an expert friend. You are an expert for someone who's just coming along behind you in the same situation. And there's just so much peace and so much hope that you can offer somebody. And I just want to encourage you, maybe you're not to that point yet, but God will not waste your pain.
He won't.
He will not waste your pain. I just heard this quote, and so I'm going to have to read it because I did not memorize it, but it's from Shauna Niequist, beautiful author. And she says this: when we go through difficult things, they can either stay inside of us forever and fester, or we can choose to allow them to be the compost for the things we make and offer the world.
Wow.
Okay, I want you to think about this really quick. I'm an aspiring gardener. I would love to have a garden someday. What makes the richest soil? It's compost. It's trash, really. It's the rubble, the things that we throw away. When you put all those pieces together, they make the richest soil for new life to grow in. Okay, that's what the Lord wants to do in your story. What are you an expert in? What is the compost of your life that something new can be birthed from? He will turn that pain into purpose and help you create beauty from ashes so you can help other people do the same.
Wow, that's good.
So that's our challenge
Yeah.
for this week. This entire month, we're going to be talking about turning your pain into purpose. And this week, friend, all I want you to do is think about this one thing. What am I an expert in? What am I an expert in? 2 weeks from today, we are going to be releasing a video on how to turn your pain into purpose. We're going to be walking you through some steps. You're going to love it. It's going to be practical. It's going to be tactical because we love that. We love giving you actual traction. But this week, what are you an expert in?
Yes, just think about those things. And we're going to put out a video with the nuts and bolts of how to turn the pain into purpose in a couple weeks. Yeah. So that's what we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for being
we love you
part
guys.
of this. What I like to call just this family, this family of people that have just gone through pain, but aren't going to get stuck there. Want to keep moving forward.
Want to rise above it.
Want the most out of life. Want to rebuild a life they love, no matter what they've walked through. That's the No Small Life way. We're going to keep rebuilding
We're a
the
little
life
gritty.
we love. That's right. So
got some dirt under our fingernails, but it's compost, right? It's compost dirt.
So this month we are rallying around this pain point that life can feel unfulfilling or painful. And what do we do about it? We turn our pain into purpose. That's this week. Next week, Megan's going to be talking. It's Good Friday week coming up. Holy Week. So Megan's going to be talking about how Jesus turned his pain into purpose next week. We're going to be doing that together as well. The following week, we got the practical video on how to turn your pain into purpose. And the fourth week, we're doing an interview with a good friend of ours.
You do not want to miss his story.
Talking about his story of turning pain into purpose. So thank you for being with us tonight. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any videos. You can go back and watch videos as well. If you go to our website, nosmalllife.me, it's organized really nice by month and theme. So you can see, you can catch up on past videos really easily if you want to. We also have a Facebook group that you can join. There'll be a link below here. And then we just also want to let you know that No Small Life is a nonprofit organization, and we have so many gracious and amazing monthly partners. And we'd love for you to become one as well. Maybe it's $25 a week, $50 a week, or $100 a week.
Or month.
I'm sorry.
I'll take
That's fine too.
We'll just let the Holy Spirit speak to you on that one. Okay? We'll just speak word.
Whatever you can do, it'd be great to partner. That money goes to getting this message of hope to more and more and more people. Because there's a lot of people in pain, a lot of people stuck, a lot of people don't know what to do. And we want to help them turn that pain into purpose.
Absolutely.
So have a good night, everyone. And remember, your life is not small.
That's right.
It's not small.
We'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.